This is Strikerush, a new game for the MetaQuest headsets, Quest 2, Quest 3, and I got to play the beta a little bit back, played a couple days in the weekend, and it was pretty awesome. So welcome to Lipnox VR. I am really excited to be showing off this new game for you guys. This is sort of the world premiere. They had us do this big weekend where we played several hours of beta test. I think it was about 4 hours it was open for, maybe a little bit longer. But I really wanted to give my feelings, a rundown, the time spent with the game, and at the end of the video, I'll give my full conclusion on everything, so make sure to stay for that. But before I get into it, I really want to say I'm very thankful to the company for sponsoring this video. That being said, my words and opinions in this are my own as always. So I really want to start off with the gameplay, and I'll give you a little pros and cons. But basically, Strikerush is a team-based competitive shooter, very similar to Overwatch, at least in its core aspect. And you spawn in with a team of 4 versus 4, and there's a place in the center that we need to capture, like a capture point. Very sort of, it's always the same point though. It doesn't change. Not like Domination in the old games. It is just the same capture point in every level. But basically, you need to rush to that capture point, the middle point, and start capturing it before the other team to start getting points. Once you hit 150 points, you win. Well, obviously, they're gonna come over there and they're gonna fight you, and that's sort of where the shooter comes in. Right now, there's no deathmatch settings, but I'm guessing that these types of things will be added with the full release. Right now, it is just the capture point thing. You have 6 different characters that you can pick between, and there's 3 different sort of pet things that you have, robot pets that help you fight, and so there's one character can you only pick one of these things. So of the 6 characters, each set of 2 has one that is with them. And in terms of the pros and cons with the gameplay, I think that it works really well to create fast matches that are done in sort of best 2 out of 3, and usually they're 10-12 minutes and they're done, like done the entire set of the best 2 out of 3, which is a good time frame if you just want to get in, do a couple matches, and then get out and get on with your day. But I think that at the same time, having only that one type of mode, it definitely felt like it got a little bit dull just trying to capture that main spot every time. And I did notice that some of the players I was playing with kind of got bored of that and were more into just shooting things and finding other weapons and things like that. One thing I did like about this game is there was a bunch of different stages, and it also has an opening lobby, and I've been told that the opening lobby is going to have new things added, like a training area, and there is an area at the top that's called the arcade lounge. I don't know if you're going to be able to do anything in there, but it would be cool if you could. Worst case scenario, hey, you can shoot some hoops in the lobby here, and the whole menu system is quite clean currently. I didn't have access to very much of the menu system because I could just go to the one matchmaking and then choose my characters and their skills and such, but it worked well enough. It worked well enough for what it is, and I'm sure when the full version comes out, it's going to be good. The stages, though, I played, I believe, 4 of the 5 stages, possibly all 5 of them, but the first stage that I played was a very basic stage where everything sort of looked, a little bit like robotic-y kind of themed. It has sort of 2 side areas that you go up that have sniper and like a heavy gun kind of thing you can pick up along the way. And the reality is more that you need to capture the middle, but the middle is completely exposed to a million different spots people can shoot you from. So it creates some pretty hectic combat situations trying to secure that opening or that main center spot. Then there's another one called I think it's the arena. I'm not actually sure, but it is a huge level, and it is the same sort of artistic style as the first level, the robotic kind of style, but it has just endless empty space and all these things you can platform and jump on to get up higher, and it's a fun stage, but it was definitely my least favorite because it very often felt like, because of the placement of the sniper rifle, it was just easier to have 90% of the game going on in that center circle, and most of the level felt completely unutilized, which honestly is a problem for most of the levels beyond is a problem for 3 out of 4 of the levels. So let that be said. Another level that did have one of these types of wasted space almost issues, which is why I hope they do deathmatch kind of things, is Oldtown, because again, almost all of the combat was done in a small circle, and you're spending wasted time just walking towards where everything's actually happening. And, that kind of slows down the pace of the gameplay and what you're playing. There's also a pistol in that level that is basically the golden gun. It's only in that level, and believe me, this thing was taking down even the I'll be talking about it later, but there's mech robots that you can get into, and it was taking even those down in a couple shots. So that was one part of Oldtown that definitely made it a unique experience, because it felt like you were battling just as much for that pistol as you were for that center spot, and the two of them were side by side with each other. And then the other level that I can remember, I might have played another one that I'm forgetting right now, but the other one I can remember was like a Korean kind of city, and it looks gorgeous. It has amazing like artistic style to it. It looks really, really cool. And again, there's a lot of wasted space on the sides, but there is a ton of good areas to sort of sniper, and I think with a proper team that you could strategize with, I think that level could actually be probably the best level there is, because of having people in the right places. And again, sniper rifle placement is quite easy to access, so it definitely balances people using tight corners or whatever by basically saying, if you're going to be in that center spot, you better be hiding behind the pillar in the middle, or you're probably going to get shot by a sniper very quickly. But I've talked about the sniper, I talked about the pistol, but I can give you a rundown of all the weapons. So there's kind of like assault rifle, your standard gun that I used most of the time, and it's very much like the shoot but let go of the button, or else the gun goes too high and you're not getting the right shots kind of gun. There's another one that has more ammo, that is more SMG type of weapon. It's still a big weapon, but I didn't really like that one because I felt like the enemies were very bullet spongy when I used that weapon, and it wasn't as easy to be accurate using it. And then the third starting weapon is kind of like a shotgun thing, and it's amazing for taking out the AI, but I really found that unless you're like always in tight corner types of areas and not planning on capturing the center part of the map, most of the levels really didn't reward using that weapon. I did have fun using it, but it definitely didn't feel like a weapon. It felt like the assault rifle was the weapon I was going to pick every time. Then when you go in the levels, like I said, the pistol is only in Oldtown that I saw, and it's just overpowered as everything. It feels like a Halo 1 pistol, where it's just, when you have that gun, you just win. But there's also a sniper rifle, like I said, which is extremely powerful, and if you're good at headshots, might even be better than the pistol in some manner. And then there's the minigun, machine gun type of thing, heavy gun, and honestly, it felt kind of like the other SMG thing, where it felt like the accuracy was never good enough to a point where I really got that much use out of it. Some other players that might have played it might have liked it better, but it really wasn't for me as much. Going past the weapons, like there's 6 characters, and I said the robot allies, and each character kind of has its own sort of ability. Some of them have like a short thing they can trigger that sort of puts up like a shield almost. Some of them have something that makes them go like invisible, and they can move faster for a short period of time. And there's another guy that has like an increased damage thing. I found, because of the placement of the button for these things and just my general intensity of playing, I never really got used to using these abilities, so I didn't really use them that much. So it's hard to properly judge them in the short amount of time that we've had to playtest this thing, but they seemed like they were cool. As for the pets though, there's a bit of an issue with everything that's AI controlled in this game. And I'm just gonna run over that too. But basically, when there's people that are unfilled in the lobby, they get filled by like AI, bots essentially. And these bots are stormtrooper aiming. Like they are slow at shooting. They have no concept of any strategy. You just shoot them and they die. They run right towards you and just die continuously. They'll use the same route over and over and over and over again. And your pets are basically the same thing. You can control them with like pressing a button to guide them places, but you can't be holding your gun when you're doing that. And you kind of just always want to be holding your gun, because if you're not shooting at someone, then you're moving somewhere, and the pets don't have accuracy to really help you anyway. I don't think I saw them get a single kill in any of the 12 matches that I played. So let that be said that I think that the pets and the AI needs a bit of reworking just to add more challenge to it, because that was a big low point for me, getting into a match and being against 4 human players and then having 3 AIs on my team. It was not a match. It was just being devastated, and vice versa if the opposite happened to the other team. And the AIs don't even have their own pets, so they're instantly like worse, even not including their terrible AI-ness or terrible AI abilities. So that is that. You've been looking at the game for a while now, so like look, here's the graphics. You can see the graphics on screen. They're not the best graphics I've ever seen in my life. They're not Asgard's Wrath 2. They're clearly not Quest 3 optimized. The frame rate was great, so maybe they're still tweaking that kind of optimization, but they still look good. They still look fine. The guns look good. The aim, the curse or the crosshair in the guns seem to work well. So I can't complain too much. There's some textures that look pretty low resolution though, which makes me sort of think that this game might have been in development for a long time, or that it may be something that they've been focusing on making the game good before truly pushing the power, and they wanted to make sure this beta worked properly and not have like frame rate issues or making people sick. So hopefully the graphics get a bit better, but even if they don't, it has a unique style and it still looks okay. So I can't complain too much on that. And same thing for the sound. The sound was fine. The sound, nothing sounded bad. Nothing sounded like, oh wow, that's the best ever. But it was more than fine for what this experience is. So from my understanding, this game is coming out in about 3 or 4 months, April-May timeframe, and it's going to cost $15. So the price tag is definitely right for this. I am concerned about one aspect, that like the AI aspect of not having people to play with, because if you're just playing against those AI opponents as they are now, I really don't think you're going to have a good time, because it's just going to be way too easy and you're going to get bored really fast, and that any price wouldn't really be worth it. But I think that if it is able to fix a few of the small complaints and the AI situation, this will definitely be something worth $15. There were a couple glitches, and I feel like I shouldn't mention them because they have to be fixed. But you can very easily poke your head through a wall and shoot, and you can't die, but they can. And near the end of the beta, a lot of people discovered this. So I can only imagine if this isn't fixed, this will just become the game, is that someone will just be hiding in the walls, picking off everyone with a sniper rifle or something, and that would not be good. The robot also, there's a giant robot that you get inside. I guess I said I was going to mention that, so I'll mention that now so I don't forget. But there's a giant robot you get into. It has like a left-hand rocket that it shoots and a right-hand just gun thing. It's cool. It's a nice mixed up of the gameplay. It often moves so slowly that for those strategizing, it's not the greatest. But if you're losing, it can change the tide of war pretty fast, give you a bit of a boost. But if people are smart, they can take it down pretty fast too. And it's so giant that it has that problem. It was a cool aspect. It didn't really change my opinion, positive or negative on that. Cool, there's a robot. Not cool that it really wasn't that big of an aspect to the game. It would be cool if there was like multiple robots and you could have like a whole robot deathmatch kind of thing maybe, but as is, the timing of everything, if you didn't use the robot, you'd be like off, like one person would have a robot and then it would die, and then you'd have a robot and it would die, or you'd have robot on robot action, and it just was sort of who got lucky enough with the shooting. But in conclusion, I mean, the game has a lot going for it. They did this test so that people would be able to play test it, and they want to create awareness for it so people know that it's a game is coming out, and they also kind of want to get the pros and cons and find out, well, what things do we need to fix before this comes out. And I have huge respect for any developer that is going to take that extra time to make sure that what they're releasing day one meets the player expectations. I think that there's still work to be done. Balancing, shooting through the walls, the AIs, those things are definitely needing to be resolved. But for the most part, I had a lot of fun playing Strikerush, and I'm really happy that I got to check this one out. I hope that when this game comes out, you guys are gonna maybe come back over here, and I'll hopefully have a review of the full product, and I'll let you know if it's passed the test, if they fixed my concerns. But I think this is definitely a title to watch for the Quest headsets, especially the Quest 3 and Quest 2 headsets later this year. Thank you guys again so much for watching. I am out of here. Keep it real.